When you contrast those two situations, in Charleston there was an outpouring and a coming together. So why do we not see the same thing happening in San Francisco today?
Well, that's a great point and a great question, and I don't know why. It's a tragic story, irrespective of who would have committed this murder. It's a heartbreaking story. This young woman, by all accounts, was a phenomenal person, and it's just such a tragedy for her and for her family and for that community. What is unacceptable is that the Department of Homeland Security had repeatedly requested from that city that they turn him over. They refused to do so. And what's even more unacceptable is this is a person that had been deported 4 to 5 separate times, and each time found his way back in the country, and in fact found his way to San Francisco because he knew it was a city and a jurisdiction that would not turn him over to federal authorities. And it's just one more example of how all of this is completely out of control. Here you have liberal local officials who refuse to comply with the law and refuse to turn someone over, and as a result, you've had a loss of life.
Yeah, but we're not hearing that from this president. He's not pointing the finger at San Francisco authorities and saying, you know what, this is on you, because ICE said that he needed to be turned over to them, and that mayor released, the police head of the police department, the police chief, completely ignored that. So as president, if you were president, what would you do to the city of San Francisco in this case?
Well, one of the things we've talked about in the past, and we've tried to get included in negotiations with Democrats in the past, is the idea of getting rid of the sanctuary city situation and saying to these localities, if you're not going to participate in helping us to enforce these laws, then you're not going to be eligible for the federal funding that you're receiving. And look, it's an outrageous situation where you have these localities that basically decide that because they've got a political agenda or a view of immigration law, they can somehow ignore the enforcement of these laws. We are a sovereign country. We have a right to enforce our immigration laws, irrespective about how you feel about immigration at large. Everyone should acknowledge that we as a country have a right to have immigration laws and a right to enforce them. And in this case, you have political elected officials in an ultra-liberal government who refuses to comply with the law because they don't agree with the law. And that is just completely unacceptable.
We currently have